Hello, I'm Fred Evans. Welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. With the general election less than a week away, early voting underway, the races for governor and Montgomery County executive are in the forefront. Brian Karem, executive editor of the Sentinel newspapers, is here with the story. The Board of Education is considering whether to extend the school year in two schools to 210 days of instruction rather than 180. This story and other issues about the school calendar will be explained by Jane DeWinter. Young people are always warned that questionable conduct on social media can affect their lives long term. A recent USA Today article wrote about this problem and quoted our guest. Mariana Cordier, a local attorney, will tell us about what not to do. Madison House Autism Foundation has developed a therapeutic writing program for adults with autism and other with intellectual development disorders, including veterans, at its upcoming farm. Madison Fields, Jessica Simpson, the equestrian manager at Madison Fields, will tell us how it works. Brian?
Hey.
There's a little bit going on in elections this year?
Just a little bit.
Locally especially.
Well, the big story locally, of course, is the county executive race. We have school board races, we have some issues on the ballot, and we also have some county council races that are up. But the big focus is on the county executive race. We have the Democrat Mark Elrich, who is favored to win, Nancy Florine, who was a member of the council, or still is, and a former Democrat who has split off and is now an independent, and the perennial gadfly Robin Ficker from the Republican Party. And what's interesting about the race is we had a forum, the Sentinel had a forum a couple of months ago with all three members.
All three.
And Elrich answered pretty much every question that we asked him, and was whether you agreed with him or didn't agree with him, he gave you solid answers. Nancy Florine told us numerous times that there's no way that Robin Ficker could win because there are more registered Democrats than there are Republicans, and Ficker laughed at both of them. So it's going to be interesting to see. There is a real concern among the electorate, and our early exit polling shows that, from early voting, that Robin Ficker has a shot at winning this. He's an outside candidate.
So the logic, not logic, but the two other candidates will split the Democratic vote, and he will get the Republican vote and potentially could win?
It's like a microcosm of the 2016 general election, and Robin Ficker is the local equivalent to Donald Trump, and so it's going to be very interesting, this race, to see how it shakes out. You have to remember, Elrich only won the Democratic nomination by 79 votes.
That's right.
So he's by no way a lock.
Nancy Florine entering in as an independent, she's split the vote probably sufficiently enough to make it a real viable chance for Mr.
Well,
Ficker
she doesn't
to
believe that. She believes that there's no way that Robin Ficker can win. She refuses to see that.
And I was going to ask you, because it seems like there's a real chance, because even the last general election, Ike Leggett did not get twice as many votes as the Republican.
Right.
And we've seen what's happening on the national scene. But people in Montgomery County seem to be saying that would never happen here. Montgomery County voters are too smart to elect Ficker. Why do people say that?
Well, because the Democrats locally haven't learned anything, the same as the Democrats nationally haven't learned anything. There are a huge number of people in this county that think that we are overtaxed, that local small businesses are in fact de facto tax collectors for the government, and they're fed up with it. So with all the taxes that have come, the rainwater tax, the rain tax, bag tax, all of these taxes have come in, the ambulance tax, which we were told we wouldn't have, and then we have. People are sick of it, and they're looking at Ficker because he's the one preaching to the choir, saying, look, elect me, I'll produce for you. And in point of fact, he was the one who went and got term limits after many times failing.
And also the mandatory unanimous vote to increase the property tax.
Yes, that's it. All of those are a product of Robin Ficker.
Yeah.
And there are people who are millennials and younger voters aren't aware of his gadfly status in the past when he was, paid by one NBA star to go heckle another NBA star, and how he's well known for being a heckler, and his demeanor in court, he's been sanctioned many times, as an attorney. His professional demeanor is in question. His ability to manage a county is in question, but that doesn't matter to people who are strapped in the pocketbook. And the Democrats have continued to preach the same old preach that lost them the 2016 national election and threatens to have this election lost to Robin Ficker.
So you don't think that the general public of Democrats has seen the similarities in the two?
I think the only thing worse than a Republican is a Democrat. Honest to
Oh,
heavens,
that's very profound.
The Democratic Party has not woken up yet to what the problems are in this country. They are all anti-Trump, anti-Ficker. They have no message other than, I'm not that guy, and that's not going to win them an election.
Montgomery County,
With the exception of Elrich.
No, but
he does have issues.
Frequently, people in Montgomery County like to think that they're sort of just different in, like in the school system. People talk about the Montgomery County way as though there's some unique element to Montgomery County. And
yes, there is a unique element to Montgomery County. The unique
element
to Montgomery County is that it is protected from any type of economic downturn because the federal government pumps so much money into this county. So the mistakes that they make.
But I think the county is changing, though. I
Well,
think
it has to change.
And I think that the Democratic Party, hasn't really understood that the Montgomery County electorate has changed, and it is changing. It's not as Democrat as
it's
they think
not.
it is.
But Elrich, I'll say again, after we interviewed all three of the candidates, it was Elrich. If you're going to vote on the issues, I urge everyone to go back and look at us on the Sentinel.com. We still have that forum there that you can watch before you vote to see who answers the questions.
We have just a few seconds left. What about the other races?
Well, the Montgomery County.
We only have that much time.
Well, real quick, the county, the important ones are going to be the county council races are very close. Many of the incumbents will win. The overturn, we will have new faces. Now, at the state level, the governor's race, our early polling shows that race is going to be over very quickly.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much, Brian.
I won't say who.
And I'm sure we will have a discussion after the election about the results. Jane, tell us about increasing the school year to 210 days for 2 schools.
Right. Well, and
That's one issue.
In Montgomery County, they've just received word that the state has approved their request for what's being called an innovative school calendar or innovative instructional calendar for 2 schools, which are Arcola Elementary School and Roscoe Nix Elementary School. And so the calendar change would be the year would be 210 days, and
as opposed to 180.
As
correct?
opposed to 180 or mandated
Right.
days, and then. And so those extra days would come up. The 3 weeks that Montgomery County typically does summer school, which is July after the July 4th week, and then 2 more weeks into August. So that would be 30 more days during the summer. And those 2 schools in particular were selected because there are very high rates of poverty at those schools, relatively lower performance, and as well as high participation by their school.
Is it an attempt to get the grades up?
Yeah, it's attempt. It's to.
Because I have to tell you, if it were me still in school, I'd volunteer not to go to those schools.
Well, let her
Well,
finish.
but those 2 schools had very high rates of kids participating in the summer programs already.
Right.
So and also with the leadership at the school. But it's there's the phenomenon that's called summer slide, which is that kids lose all that time. And I think the superintendent has indicated in some of his comments that the school calendar where it's based on like a farming
Agrarian
community
calendar,
and whatever, and so you need to have the summer off to help with the harvest and the pigs
Right.
and the cows and the whatever. It's out of sync with most of the people.
No, but we have most families, right? For example, they budget their summer months. That's vacation, visiting relatives. I mean, because they count on that. So, is there a chance that all of the school system will go
Well,
to that?
the thing is that I think that you and I might think about the summer vacation that way, but if you are newly arrive in the United States and you're working 3 minimum wage jobs to get by, you really may not be budgeting the summer for a big vacation.
No doubt.
For family and
Let's
stuff.
talk
And so
to
I
someone who's most recently in school. And
yeah.
how would you feel about
I probably would not have enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed my summers,
Right.
but I also live on a farm, so
That's
I had
interesting.
that
But
kind of
besides summer
dynamic
vacation,
part of it.
there's a whole range of activities that go with the summer.
Yeah.
Are they seriously considering moving the entire school system to a 210-day
I
calendar?
don't think that
I
they're
don't think
considering
that's
moving the entire school system to
I
it.
think there would be a lot of conflict because I think you have those hardworking families, but you also have those families that are budgeting and planning that opportunity to go to the beaches, the family reunions.
and
Plus,
So
everybody
Montgomery
needs a
County's-
day off.
yeah,
But
and I
Montgomery-
have to agree. I wouldn't want to be 200.
Right.
Yeah,
Although
and
I will
Montgomery
just,
County is exceptionally diverse in both poverty levels and amongst many other things too. So my question would be like, what is the research that has been done to say that this would actually help aside from the summer, looking at summer school?
well, it is really looking at summer school. Basically, it's
Right.
that kids who have this big gap, and it's really the kids who have the biggest summer, what they call summer slide, are kids who have families who the parents are still working during the summer and cannot afford to have some kind of care or whatever to take the kids to museums, to take the kids to cultural things, to take them to enriching experiences.
Well, what about enlarging the summer school programs? You could do that countywide for anyone who wants to be in the summer
participate,
school to participate and have it available in such a way that you can exercise that option or not. I think that would be more of a attractive option to everyone, because maybe one year I don't have a whole lot planned and I won't leave them in summer school, especially if they've had a rough year. Different school years.
Well, the difference
have
is
harder
that
work.
you
and-
can't like restructure the entire school curriculum if you only have even 3/4 of the kids going to the summer program and not. You can't start your total
The other thing
instructional
So
that I have a
they've
question about-
reconfigured the curriculum for 210 days.
That hasn't been done yet.
No,
That hasn't- yeah,
that,
that- Fred,
that
you can tell
hasn't
you.
done. But I'm just saying is that you can't, if only some kids are in the summer school program, you can't start again right after
So-
Labor Day, assuming that everybody's
My
had
question
all
would
this.
be more along the lines of the teacher's perspective too. So where the teachers fall in, where the administrators fall in, because they base their lives as well off of the 180
Well,
day calendar.
administrators already work
most of
full
them,
year
yeah.
round,
Right.
and
Most,
frankly, the two
but not
schools were also selected because the leadership at the schools was very
So
into it. And
how
there
are
are basically
Okay.
discussions going on.
We have
with,
excuse me.
One real quick
Teachers
question. How are
Yeah.
we going to do if we haven't changed the curriculum? What are they going to fill that extra 30 days up with?
oh, there's plenty.
There's plenty. There are plenty of programs, but
They could
we'll have
actually
to leave
teach
that
science.
question for now.
They could teach social
we have to take a
science.
break. Be right back.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
And we're back. Ms. Cordier, how are you?
I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Tell us about your issue.
Well, so it's an issue that I have mentioned a couple of times on the
Yes.
show, and that's the importance of everyone understanding the impact of social media and disbursement of not just statements but pictures,
Right.
naked pictures. And I raise that because if you're a minor and you send your naked picture to your boyfriend, you have just opened the door for him to be charged with child pornography. Because if you're underage and you do that and you disperse the pictures, anybody who sees those pictures are going to be in trouble. So don't do that. Number one, if you love your boyfriend, don't do that. And number two, think about the fact that once you've put something on the internet,
It's public.
it's public and you can't get rid of it and you can't control it. So if you give it to one person, it doesn't stop them from forwarding it to
It's
a
like
whole lot of other people.
Like herpes.
Like herpes, yeah.
Well, there's a nice way to look
Except
at it.
for there's no cure
All
for
right.
that.
Whoa,
and I
well,
can't say
Remember,
South
we're a family show. Keep
right.
going.
No, so yeah, but it's one of those completely impactful things that
Yes.
when we're young we're not thinking about it. and
Well,
we don't-
adults don't think too much about it either.
And adults and famous adults, people in politics, have gotten into a lot of trouble for these
Absolutely.
kinds of
Well,
things.
and we know that kids really don't view what they put on social media as just completely open to everybody, because think about how many kids yell at their parents for looking at their Facebook page.
Or they're not
As-
thinking about it long term. But there's an
Right.
interesting study about that, is that, for instance, there are parents who think that they're in control because they say, you know, I have to be friended on your Facebook, I have to be friended on your Twitter, and this
Right.
and that. And the kids have actually created fake accounts that the parents have no idea
No idea
about.
exist.
And that's the account where they're doing a lot of these activities. But so the message isn't really about the parents. This is really about the kids, in the sense of letting them know and for them to understand.
So what do you
don't do
recommend?
it.
What
Don't
do you
do
recommend
it. Don't put
besides
something
besides not
Doing
tweeting
it.
out the herpes pictures
Right.
and the naked photos? What else do you recommend that kids adhere to? What's good
I
behavior?
think it's a really good idea and an exercise to ask kids, you know, when you do this in college in the business class, where are you going to be here 5 years from now? What are you going to do for, you know, a career? To tell them, what if someone looked at your Facebook 5 years from now? What are they going to know about you? What are they going to be able to take away? When you want that job, when you want that, get into that school, and they have access to that information, are they going to find out that you drink all the time, that you're angry and bullying other people,
Didn't hurt
that
Kavanaugh.
you, well, and that's the thing. I mean, that was a lesson that was not a good lesson for everybody, but not everyone is Kavanaugh, right? So you're not going to be protected. You're not going to have those opportunities, and people
It's a
might
very-
take something done in jest and take it very
Let
seriously.
Jessica's on.
So when Facebook and these social media started out, it was the mentality that all of this is private and that you're speaking to your friends. That now I encourage the youth to look at it as all your local businesses are on Facebook. Everywhere that you go is on Facebook. So everyone is watching what you do.
Right.
Anytime you like something,
Yeah.
they can be,
And if
I
you
could go to
apply-
anybody who likes our pages and see what they're
Actually,
doing.
not to
Right.
pick nits. It's not Facebook that people.
No,
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 no, no, no.
Instagram, any
It's
social
Instagram
media,
for
Twitter.
it, the way it breaks down from the studies that we've done at the paper. Instagram is for younger and upcoming adults. Twitter is for the millennials and up to the baby boomers, and mostly the elderly have taken over Facebook, and with some kids. And the thing that I recommend, and I'd like your comment on it, is that when I tell reporters, and I've told my children, when you're on whatever social media you're on, whatever tweet you put out, edit it. At least before you send it out, look at it one more time.
Oh yeah, I
And then
can't tell you.
secondly,
Yeah.
don't say anything on there that you wouldn't say in a court of law or that you don't want everyone to know, because it is public knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. Those are really two good points. And the one thing that I would comment about the editing, it's amazing how many times when you're going to send a text and you just send it out, and then when you read it, you're like, oh, that's not what I meant, or that's
Right.
not what I was trying to say, because it auto-corrected or whatever. So I would say read it at least 1 or 2 times. Don't be so fast to send it off. And also think about, what is this person going to say when they read it? What are they going to understand, right? Because you want to make sure that you are clearly understood as to what you are saying. And because it is impactful what you are going to say, whether it's something simple or something complicated. And the other thing that I would point out to young people as well is that you are going to be judged by what you say. So make sure that you can stand behind your statement with pride.
That is a very good concluding remark.
Thank you. Went so fast.
That was
excellent. Jessica.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome
I'm
to the
great.
show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So I am Jessica Simpson. I am the equestrian manager at a project of the Madison House Autism
What is an
Foundation.
equestrian manager?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I work on a 400-acre farm called Madison Fields.
And where is that again?
In Dickerson, Maryland.
Okay.
And we support people with different abilities, all abilities, as well as veterans. So we work with individuals in a therapeutic standpoint to do therapeutic riding, and that's where the equine part comes in. So equestrian, equine, that's horses. So I work with our horse staff on the property, and I take care of them, make sure that they're ready to go in lessons. So in a lesson, it's a therapeutic riding lesson. So we support people who have different abilities. We teach them riding skills, just like you would see anywhere else if you were to go into a barn. And we just give them a little bit more support.
And that must have such a huge impact with the autism. Because I read there was a study where they said just brushing the horses or being around them just opened up their whole world.
Absolutely. So the term that we use is grooming for connection instead of grooming for cleanliness. So there's been a lot of research done on the brain and horses, how the horses are affecting the brain of those who are even nonverbal, going as far as not being able to speak and having a horseback riding lesson, and the movement as well as the caringness of the horse just brings out the words in these participants, and it's absolutely
How many
amazing.
participants do you have involved?
Yeah, we have 25 in our mounted activities, and then we also have unmounted activities. So mounted would be where they are on the horse riding, unmounted where they're doing grooming for connection, or they're participating in a group session where they're learning and talking about what obstacles they overcome or they're facing in their day-to-day lives, and how the horses can relate to that, or how they can help them through it.
What's the age span?
4 to 74.
Wow.
Well, how do you get into the program if you have a child who's autistic or an adult that you would like to have?
You can go to madisonfields.org. That's with an S, and you can look up our programs and send an email, and we have an application that we'll send you out, and you can apply right away.
I want to share a story and ask a question.
Yeah.
Both my brother and my aunt were autistic.
Okay,
And
great.
both have passed, but I remember going riding one time with my Aunt Kathy, and she said, we took her riding, and Kathy walks up to the horse, and she's, stroking the horse, and I said, Kathy, what's about this horse that you enjoy so much? And she goes, he loves me.
Wow.
And I just wondered, is that why it's horses? Because she felt such a connection with a horse.
Yeah. So there's something very empowering about a 1,000-pound animal for somebody who feels a little bit, sometimes a lot of them, these individuals are feeling trapped, right? So a lot of their lives are dictated for them via parents or school, and the same with at-risk youth, to be quite honest with you, or even veterans. A lot of that is set out for them. So the power that they feel about controlling a 1,000-pound animal or 100 pounds of animal is just incredible. You see a lot of the same results though in therapy dogs too when they go to different places. Horses have this innate ability to stare right into your soul.
And I was going to say, horses really can be very empathetic.
Absolutely.
That
They're
really
great mirrors.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that they really get from what your mood is, what's going on with you emotionally.
We actually have one horse, and I had a participant who was feeling a lot of emotions inside, and on the outside, very stone face, was just here to be here, but inside you can really see the horse that participant went to get would not let this participant catch them at all. She will come up to anybody else. The horse ran from that participant until the participant was able to calm herself. and then ask for the horse to come forward, and then she did. It was
Now with
incredible.
veterans, are you dealing with people with PTSD mostly?
Yes, PTSD, TBIs, things like that, but also just the transition into civilian life can be very difficult, even if they come back with, no
injuries.
definitive injuries or PTSD specifically. The transition into becoming a civilian is very difficult. So they have an outlet with horses, a very good, safe outlet that they can express themselves, be around other veterans who have done the same thing. Also, there's an amazing spark that happens when they work with individuals who might have different abilities, who might not be able to speak. There's this thought of, okay, I have my voice, I can speak, I can help this individual, I could teach them how to ride or help them ride. And there's something magical that happens between the two of them. It's
Well,
really awesome.
I have to imagine that it's empowering for a veteran who feels like there's nothing left for them to do, and they're trying to assimilate, and to have a child or an adult with autism and helping them out, giving them a sense of worth.
I
Absolutely.
think that this story is a wonderful conclusion to this show. Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you for your enthusiasm.
Of course.
And all of you for being here. Thank you, all of you, for joining me this week. And thank you for joining all of us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Fred Evans. Please join us next week at the same time.